Welcome back to Switch to Linux. This is the weekly news roundup and the privacy edition. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you'd like to join along. And today we're looking at several different privacy articles from all over the place, all over the country, all over the world, all over the tech world. All sorts of crazy stuff that's making you want to go and wrap yourself in tinfoil. So let's go ahead and jump on in. If you want to help support the channel, check a look at switchedtolinux.com/support. I have links there to my supporter pages, which right now is thinklifemedia.com, which is my own personal support page. There is Patreon, there's a PayPal link, merch, and affiliates. And I will be figuring out and adding some more affiliates down the road here. Still looking into the better ones and thinking about that. So you can always check those pages because those will be the most up-to-date as we go. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Now, of course, we all knew this was coming because it starts to slowly creep in and slowly creep in. And now the Homeland Security proposes, for security purposes, safety of all of our people, facial scans for U.S. citizens. Now, this is just a continuation on what was going on with... Whoa, I got a kitty that wants to go. There you go, buddy. All right, so this is a continuation on with the scanning people's faces as you come into the country. So this isn't like you're walking down the street, you're going to be stopped by Homeland Security and be scanned, kind of like a Minority Report type thing. This is going to be a situation where traveling, and I'm not sure if it said it was domestic as well, but certainly anybody coming into the country from foreign countries, no matter the circumstance, they're proposing to do a facial scan. So yes, this is just continuing on. You know, it started with, we're not going to scan anybody who's not a U.S. citizen. Don't worry, your rights are here. And that was only like a few months ago. And then Delta down in Atlanta, Georgia, sorry, Quint, they decided they're going to test this out with doing the facial scans down there on about everybody here and there. And now it's like, no, we just want to collect everybody's facial scans. Yeah, remind me not to fly the friendly skies. So they keep on pulling it back, guys, and we need to fight back somehow. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be, but yeah, Homeland Security would now like to scan all of our faces on all flights. I can't remember if this was domestic flights or just international flights. But it was pretty much everybody coming in on international for sure. All right, next is we have this fun vulnerability. I just did not have enough to have a separate security section, but this was definitely a good one, and it does contain some privacy stuff. This is a Android hack called Strand Hog, which was originally actually disclosed. I forget who originally disclosed this to Google, and the people who originally disclosed it, Google's like, we don't, this is nothing. But it ended up being something major. So what Strand Hog enabled you to do is to take advantage of an issue with the background tasks up to the most recent, most patched Androids. This isn't something, I don't care, I'm not running KitKat anymore, you know? And this system works for all 500 most popular apps. Basically what happens is the malicious application is going to get installed to your Android device, and when you click on the application that you think you're loading, it's going to bypass that one and load up a mock version of the application instead, and request, of course, that you're going to have to sign into it again or turn on permissions again, and that's kind of how you can spot that you have it. Now, you get this by installing applications, and yes, you can install applications from the the Google Play Store. So none of the apps on the Play Store are known to contain this, but several apps on the Play Store are side-loadable apps, or like they're download apps. In other words, you download it to go download it. For example, on F-Droid, there's no specific application to download Firefox specifically, but there is the Firefox updater, which will go and install Firefox for you by going and downloading it separately. That's the type of thing. So you download an app, and it goes and downloads the malicious app, and then that overwrites your app. And if you have your thing loaded, so like Facebook, we'll use an example. Why you'd use Facebook is beyond me, but suppose you're using Facebook and then you minimize it to go do something else. Once it's down in that task, You pull up Facebook again, and instead of pulling up Facebook, it pulls up a fake app made to look like Facebook, and then asks you to log in again, and then you have just given all of your information to the hacker. So this comes from these sideload apps and things like this. And this is why, guys, F-Droid is far safer than the Google Play Store. At least those are audited by two separate security and privacy companies before going out into your phone. Google Play is just like, hey, Google Play is about as easy to moderate the content as it is to moderate the content on YouTube. In other words, it ain't happening, Bubba. So if you're thinking that the Google Play Store is going to keep you safe because that's what they tell you, you have another thing coming. That's not going to keep you safe. All right, this one I believe came from Vince. Thanks, Vince, for this one. From TechSpot Australia, now using AI cameras to identify drivers and using phones. So the idea here is that they have facial ID cameras that are constantly scanning, and if the camera picks you up on a phone, the first time it sees that, it's going to send you a nasty warning. Our HAL 9000 in Sector 32B on 123 Sydney Street or whatever has detected you. This is your only warning. And then it picks you up again. It's going to start sending you fines. So definitely the one place where you are going to want to use the fines is if you are stuck in the future and you do not know how to operate the 3 seashells. Just drive by the cameras with these. It's going to spit out a lot of fines for you, and you don't have to use the 3 seashells. But that being said, that aside, the idea here is that the camera is going to track you down. It's going to look at your face. It's going to look at your car, and it's going to send you the first one. It's going to be, let's see. So for the first 3 months, drivers caught using their phones will only receive a warning, only for 3 months. But after that period, they will be hit with a $344 Australian dollar fine, which is $233 in US, and 5 penalty points. You guys, Vince, you're from this area. What is your penalty point scoring sound like? Like here in the States, you can get points on your license. I believe if you have 5, you'll lose your license. So what's the point numbers? Let us know in the comments there. And if you're in a school zone, you get 10 penalty points and 309. So basically, they said 329 people have died in New South Wales roads so far this year. The government said that independent modeling shows cameras could prevent 100 serious and fatal crashes across 5 years. The concern is the courts will be overwhelmed by drivers disputing their fine. So all you need is that AI lawyer thing that's going to fight the court on your behalf and spit out the thing. So that's it. So, and I'm seeing here in my comments from people living in the area, 13 points is the loss of a license. So you get caught once in a school zone, once without a school zone, no more driving for you, Bubba. So keep your eyes on the road. Of course, in there, you are allowed to use a hands-free set, I believe. This is actually funny here. Most places, you can talk as long as you're on a hands-free. In Texas, you cannot talk even with a hands-free set if you're driving through a school zone. Last time I was driving through Texas. All right, on to TechCrunch. Apple says the ultra-wideband technology is why newer iPhones appear to share location data even when the setting is disabled. What? Yes, when you disable location settings, you're still getting the notification, the location notification up in the bar. Of course, guys, you toggled the button wrong. Really, guys. This is Apple. You've toggled the button wrong, people. Stop toggling the button wrong. You got to toggle the button right. Okay. So what they're basically saying is that apparently they're saying there is this area that, this was interesting. So there are areas you're not allowed to collect location data on. And so they're collecting location data to make sure you're not in the area you can't collect location data on. Interesting. And even if you have it all toggled off, it's still doing it. This is the one where Krebs on security sent them a message saying, hey, what's going on here? And that's basically, it's a feature. Ultra-wideband technology is an industry standard technology and is subject to international regulation. regulatory requirements that require it to be turned off in certain locations. iOS uses location services to help determine if an iPhone is in these prohibited locations in order to disable ultra-wideband and comply with regulations. So we're using location services to make sure you're not in the area that location services cannot be turned on. Guys, you've toggled it wrong. Just leave it at that. You've toggled it wrong. And to be fair, there is two different types of mapping going on here. They have to use the one to make sure you're not. I don't know. This is, turn it all off. Turn it all off. I did figure out on iOS 12, yes, you can toggle it wrong. I kept on getting pop-up stuff. It's like the things like you need to turn off notifications. I did turn off notifications. I went back in, turned on the notifications. I had to go through every single little setting and toggle every button off and then toggle off the master. So I did toggle the button wrong. So we're going to see the same thing. You've toggled it wrong. Oh, Apple. Well, Ring, every single week, to quote Level 1 News on their news that dropped today, every single week we're getting out Ring stuff, and it just looks more and more dystopian every single day. So Ring, for a good period of time, like at least a good year, Ring let police view a map of video doorbell installations for over a year. This is pretty specific. There's one of them down here on Flickr Lane. There's two of them right down here. One off of Flickr Lane down here and one right at the corner of Flickr and is it Sigwald? Yes, that is Sigwald. Where is Kirchhoff, Flickr, and Sigwald? Anybody tell me where that is? So basically they had the ability to track all these down. So there's all this, they can't tell where it is. It's anonymized video, all this kind of stuff. They know, guys. Stop putting NSA surveillance stuff on there. Turn off that telly screen because, guys, it ain't the government that's forcing this stuff on us. This is not 1984. This is Brave New World. We're such we're doing this to ourselves. Stop. Wake up. Don't put internet-connected cameras that the government has access to on the front of your doors, people. This is insanity. All right, from TechCrunch. Now even the FBI is warning you about your smart TV security. You know, when the FBI starts warning you about the spying going on in you, we have walked into a time warp, people. I'm telling you, we're in a time warp. We're in a time warp. So the FBI is now issuing warnings about your smart TVs. They say, beyond your risk, the TV manufacturer and app developers may be listening or watching you. Yes, beyond the people who developed the thing watching it. The television can also be a gateway for hackers into your home. A bad cyber actor may not be able to access your locked down computer directly, but it is possible that your insecure TV can give him or her an easy backdoor into your router. So in other words, you might have the best router system that there is in the world. But if your TV is connected to the internet and is full of security malware, and these things are not exactly kept up to date and have the most superior security technology in them, they get into that, they can now backdoor into every other device that you have. So they're saying down here to make sure that your software is up to date and all this kind of stuff. I have an extra tip that the FBI didn't think of. Don't buy a smart TV. That's right. That's right. We don't need internet-connected TVs, people. We really don't. You're much safer getting a Roku or some other thing, or, if you're into the Linux stuff, get yourself a Raspberry Pi and put Kodi on it. I'm not sure if it does Netflix yet. I think I want to test that. I want to see if I can get Netflix working on a Kodi box or something. But regardless, I think that it's better to not have a television with all that embedded. It's the same reason I don't want a router modem combination. I want to have a degree of separation. If I suspect something goofy is going on, let's just pull this thing off the internet. Or here's a better bet. If you don't need it always on, pull that thing off the network the times you don't need it. And then you just have a dumb TV that you can still watch stuff with. It's just a little bit different. Oh boy. Well, on to our feature story of the day, and that is that banks can now start collecting the data that we have. Now, I used to do business with PNC before they lost their ever-loving minds, and they were one of the first banks to start doing this, and I started noticing it. And they'd give you you can opt out of the program here. Otherwise, whenever whatever you're spending, we're going to sell it out there to give you relevant ads in your online banking portal. People, do you not recognize that putting internet ads onto a web page is a way of potential security vulnerabilities? Do I run those? Yes, I do, unfortunately, because I do have to pay some bills, but there's places I would not put them. A banking portal is one of them, but they try and do it. And then, of course, they're trying to sell the coupons. They're trying to sell your name to companies to send you advertisements. I cannot say it any better or any clearer. Use cash for everything you can. Use cash for everything you can. Okay? What they're basically doing now, of course, PNC started doing this, but then other banks have started to pick it up. So let me actually read some of this article because it's quite fascinating. Google and Facebook, of course. Now, here's a side note, is that your credit card data, Google and Facebook have over 70% of that data. So anytime you swipe your card, Google and or Facebook is getting that data. You can assume that. Now banks want to turn their data that already have on your spending habits into extra revenue by identifying likely customers for retailers. Banks are increasingly aware that they could be sitting on a gold mine of information that can be used to predict or sway where you spend. Historically, such data has been used mostly for fraud protection. Suppose you were to treat yourself. I have a really hilarious story on fraud protection. Okay, this is great. So I had that PNC card and I was living out west, and PNC is an Eastern bank because I got the PNC account here and I used it as my backup account when I was out west. So literally, I take a trip out to California and I had a computer LCD screen broke, and we're getting ready to go to Yosemite like the next couple days. From my friend's house, I called a out of country screen manufacturer in Vancouver. I had them overnight a screen to me at my friend's house using my card. No flags at all. Nothing. No flags. They shipped the screen. They took the money, all this kind of stuff. Cool. No big deal. Must have been about, when was it? I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks later. No, it's 2 or 3 months later. I don't use the card a whole lot, but, I had a lot of money in there, not a lot in my other account. So I go up to the local Walmart that's 1 mile from my house, and I, swipe my card on a $25 purchase. And I'm heading out because we bought some stuff over there, and we're heading out, and I'm heading out to, we're going to Salt Lake City with a friend. And so we're like, we'll just stop and use this card for gas because it's got a card. Won't take the card. Like, really? I'll use the other cards instead. So we continue on. We get to Salt Lake City. I get a phone call at 6 a.m. Hey, we've identified some potential fraud. Did you make this order? Oh, the Walmart one from 1 mile from my house? How'd you put that one together? And it makes us like, okay, you're using this for fraud protection. So this is a card I barely ever use. I used a card to overnight a screen from an out-of-country place to somebody's address that's not on file anywhere attached to my address. That's in fact over 1,000 miles from where I live. No flags. You flagged the purchase at the Walmart 1 mile away from my billing address. Oh my Lord. Yeah, it's insanity. Anyway, suppose you treat yourself to lunch on Cyber Monday, the business online shopping day of the year, and you order ahead at Chipotle's, paying, of course, with your credit card. You might soon find your bank is dangling 10% off lunch at Little Caesars. The bank would earn some fees from the pizza joint, both for showing the offer and for processing the payment. Oh, joy. Wells Fargo began customizing retail offers for individual customers on November 21st, joining Chase Bank, Bank of America, PNC, SunTrust, and a slew of other smaller banks. Unlike Google or Facebook, which try to infer what you're interested in buying in. See, they don't even have that information right, because Google and Facebook actually have this data as well. The data for MasterCard, which will include some of your banking data. They have access to that. So this is crazy stuff, people. This is crazy stuff. Crazy town. So yeah, they're grabbing more of our data and more of our data and more of our data, more and more. Guys, use a credit union if you can. They generally are a little bit better. Use cash for everything you can, and use those cards as seldomly as possible, which includes the online payment systems, which link to your cards, all these different things. They're tracking everything we're doing. They don't like the cash because it prevents them from knowing what you're doing. Okay. In fact, if you're using a Shoppers Club card at the grocery store, they even know exactly what you're buying. This is how bad it is. Use cash. They can know how much you're spending. They don't know what you're doing with it. This is serious, people. You got to take some work with this. All right. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.